Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Pisces energy. And for this round of 12 zodiac sign readings, we're going to use this 10 card spread. And we're going to get an oracle card out. And after we read how different people might be harnessing this energy, depending on if they harness a more high vibe Pisces energy or a more worldly or shadowy Pisces energy. Oops. My card fell on the floor. We are going to ask what is the possible outcome that people might not see coming depending on how they harness their Pisces energy. So Pisces energy is emotional water sign energy that all of us tap into. It has to do with our hope and faith and belief in our dreams and what we find emotionally fulfilling. And you know, sometimes in our Pisces energy, we can kind of live in fantasy land and we can indulge our more immature nature, prideful nature, selfish, greedy, defensive, self-centered, egotistical, you know, our shadow nature. And we kind of get caught up in the illusion of ourself, get caught up in wanting to indulge ourselves. Kind of think that, I don't know, you get it, you know, our more immature nature. Or high vibe Pisces is we've learned to offer ourselves love, we've learned lessons in life, we've grown and matured ourselves, freed ourselves from being manipulated by our more immature nature, and we're more independent of it. And we're more independent in the world. And we've learned these lessons to be more independent and be inspired by truth and love. But everybody's at different places in life about having learned those lessons. So we could work with, have people in our family, people that we know in our community. You know, there's always going to be some people who are more enlightened than us, more wise, more stable, more grounded, more loving, more bold, more brave, more confident. And there's going to be other people in our life who are more immature and self-indulgent. And thing is, the truth sets us free. We just need to figure out what our truth is and accept the truth of where everyone else is at and try to find the people who seem to kind of be more on the same page as us if we want to be in a more involved relationship with people. You know, we're kind of looking for people who've learned some of the same life lessons as us and has kind of similar dreams and finds certain things emotionally fulfilling just like we do. Okay. So, let's get out an oracle card here. Okay, we have Soar. You are getting ready to fly high above all your obstacles and embrace life in the most magical way. Also, Pisces can, you know, I suppose all the zodiac signs could represent it, but, you know, when we're connected in with our more emotionally intuitive nature, our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world because we don't know what really drives and motivates people. Some people want to be in friendships and relationships and jobs because they're lazy, because they're prideful, because of lust or greed or whatever, you know. And as we learn lessons to listen to our intuition, I think it benefits us. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, and the Magician is Gemini and Virgo energy. Gemini energy is about our dualistic nature. What is our truth? And then we're going to take action in our Virgo energy based on that truth of what drives and motivates us. That's what we're going to invest our time, energy, and effort into. For more about ourselves, more about indulgence, more about money or materialism and status and image, that's what we're going to probably want to invest in. If we're more about truth and love and growing and healing and maturing ourselves, that's what we're going to invest our time, energy, and effort into. So we only have 4 cards showing themselves. The 3 of Cups, the 9 of Wands, the 5 of Pentacles, and the World card. Some people are more emotionally kind of manipulated by the world. They're caught up in the illusion of the world. That is their truth. That is what drives and motivates them. That is their dream, and that's what they're trying to bring into reality. In our free will, we're either going back and forth and haven't decided, or we have decided, truth and love and believing in myself and believing in my dreams is from a place of love is what drives me, or it's more about me or the world. And from the 9 of Wands down to the 3 of Wands, we let go of the other 6 of Wands. If we're more motivated to be in high vibe, 6 of Wands, Leo energy, we choose to be in life-giving energy of hope and faith and belief and love. We offer ourselves love and compassion and forgiveness. We offer other people in our life that. We are aligned with not aligning with our more worldly, shadowy nature. We have detached from viewing, making our life more about ourselves, more about the world, and ego and immaturity and stuff like that. We've let go of that because we've probably already been there and done that. And we were manipulated by the world. We all grow up in the world. We all kind of get indoctrinated into the world. The 5 of Pentacles is Taurus energy, which has to do with our philosophy of life. We come into contact again with all these different people in the world and go on all these life experiences to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what we really want to manifest and what drives and motivates us. And as we go through life, we're going to pick one side or the other as our truth. And that's what we're going to move forward with. High vibe people are defending themselves and their dreams to move forward, to not be more emotionally manipulated by their shadow nature and other people who are in more worldly, shadowy energy. And the World card can talk about having learned lessons. And the 9 of Wands in Sagittarius energy is also about higher learning and education. I can keep being more about myself, because the 3 of Wands, Aries energy, is about the self. But some people realized if I'm more about myself, and the World card can talk about completing a chapter in our life, if I don't put an end to being more about myself, then I am trying to get in relationships with people and trying to emotionally manipulate them because I'm more about me. I'm not really about love. And I've learned these lessons in life that if I'm defensive to detaching from that old way of viewing life, and if I'm not willing to grow and heal and mature myself and not be just more about myself, I'm going to have other people that are going to be defensive to me and walk away from me and close out relationships with me. So high vibe people have learned those lessons. If I'm prideful, egotistical, bossy, controlling, manipulative, immature, petty, envious, jealous, controlling, whatever, in a way that's kind of emotionally manipulative, because I'm more about me, my wants, my needs, my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego, people walk away from me. So high vibe people, these are things, kind of makes me think of that poem that was written, Everything I Needed to Learn, I Learned in Kindergarten. Love is about treating other people the way you like to be treated. Love is to be just and fair, where you maintain balance within yourself, not to tip out of balance where you're indulging poor behavior in yourself or indulging poor behavior in others. We can have love for people, but if we indulge them in their poor behavior, that's not good for them and it's not good for us. It's out of balance. And so high vibe people have learned that lesson. With this being Gemini Virgo energy is about learning lessons in life. And people learned, I need to have better boundaries to my own shadowy nature And I also have to have good boundaries to other people in my life who might be more emotionally manipulative and more about themselves. If I want to move forward with people who've learned lessons in life, who their dream, because the Three of Wands is wanting your dream to come into reality. If I want my dream to come into reality, I need to have good boundaries within myself and to other people who haven't let go of being manipulated by their more shadowy nature, other people in their life who are more manipulative or controlling or immature or tempt them to be in their more immature, lustful, greedy, fearful, insecure energy. I need to be in relationships with people who have learned those lessons that aren't operating from that foundation anymore, who've put an end to being more about themselves, to working cooperatively. High vibe Leo energy, again, in the Six of Wands, what we view as victorious and successful. High vibe people are motivated to be in relationship with people who harness high vibe energy, who are motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness and healing and growing and maturing themselves and getting out of their ego and, being authentic, being warm, being loving. But we all could know some people in our life who still are manipulated by things within themselves, their own being more about themselves, their own defensive nature, their own lack mentality, manipulated by the world. Oh no, we got to do this and we got to wear this and we got to act like this and we got to hang out with those people and not those people, because shadowy energy can be where you're still looking outside of yourself for people to validate your worth and value, and living more from your ego and trying to get people to like you and view you a certain way. High vibe energy is being truthful and authentic and just and fair and loving. But some people haven't learned that lesson yet, so they're still manipulated by the world. No, no, no. It's all about trying to create this illusion in the world, and partly because they haven't learned to love themselves and haven't learned their own worth and value and haven't detached from their more defensive nature and haven't maybe dealt with some past pain and heartbreak, right? So we all live life viewing life the way we view it, and some people could be defensive to change. When we're going to, as we go through life, we go through these phases of life to learn these lessons. And we're supposed to learn, what should I have good boundaries up to within myself and others that kind of stop me from moving towards my dreams. I have to see the truth of it. And High Vibe Virgo is about seeing the truth of it. But sometimes we can be defensive because we are kind of manipulated by things that we love in the world, things we'd like to go indulge in, people that we love. And we could be defensive of change, defensive of believing in ourselves, of believing in our dreams. If we were to move forward differently and some people in our life don't want to move forward with us in that way, because that's not their idea of the dream life. They don't find it emotionally fulfilling. They don't want to change, so they want to keep repeating this old pattern. Well, if we're kind of defensive to repeating that old pattern, and we could find it, it's just like we live life, age 15, age 18, age 21, age 25, age 30, age 35. How long do we want to keep repeating a phase of life? It's like, I kind of think I learned everything I needed to learn. It could have been great, could have been fun. But there kind of comes a time, and High Vibe Aries energy of the Three of Wands, and High Vibe Aries in general is like, I do want to grow to my full potential. I don't want to keep indulging my more immature, defensive, worldly nature and letting my fear and my insecurity keep me repeating an old pattern. I have a dream. And if I want my dream to come into reality, and if some people in my life want me to keep repeating this old pattern, and it's like, but we've done that and been there, and you keep repeating an old pattern over and over, what initially could have seemed really abundant, over time it kind of loses its thrill in a way. It's kind of like our intuition telling us it's time to go to the next phase of life. You have learned everything you needed to learn here. Life is about going through these phases of life and learning lessons. And when you've kind of learned what you were meant to learn, it's time to face your fears, be bold and brave and confident, and kind of detach from that old way of viewing life and living life, and have some confidence and belief in yourself. And in High Vibe Six of Wands, be inspired to work through your inner conflict and your fear and your ego about stepping out of your comfort zone to go to that next stage of life. It's like giving a birth to a new you. Hopefully when you become 18, you're not the same person you were at 15. Hopefully you've expanded your perception of yourself and the world, and how you view yourself, how you view others, how you view relationship dynamics. And then the same thing happens at 18, 21, 25, and, it keeps moving forward. But there can be some people that are really defensive, because sometimes, we do have to kind of go out on our own. And there could be people in our life, whether those are friends or family members, and they don't plan on moving forward that way. Same way like back in the day, if people went to college or people worked somewhere and it's like, I'm going to go apply for a different job. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, how scary. I would never leave this job to go get a different job, And sometimes you got to go on your own. And you kind of have to detach from some people that won't be moving forward with you in that way. But if your dream is different than their dream, and kind of what you find emotionally fulfilling now, and that you would like to invest your time, energy, and effort into, and what they still find emotionally fulfilling, just like you found that emotionally fulfilling at one time, they want to keep investing in it. And it's kind of like, isn't it enough? Aren't we ready to move forward? And again, we all are ready to kind of face our fears and move forward in life differently at different times than other people. And some people in our life wish us peace. It's like, hey, you go, you go do that. Me, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay here. Some people wish you peace and you wish them peace, and we just accept that everybody kind of are on different pages of life and how they want to live their life and what they're motivated by and what they're inspired by and blah, blah. But there can be other people that can be quite defensive. Well, if you step out of your comfort zone or you don't do life like this, well, you can go, but I'm not going with you, and I might turn my back to you. And that can be people in our life, again, whether they're friends or family members or romantic interests. Sometimes some people try to use the love, because the Three of Cups is Cancer energy. Sometimes some people try to use the love that they know that people have for them. Well, I'm defensive to you living your life like that, or hanging out with those people, or believing in yourself, or believing in your dreams, because I created my life and I live my life like this, and I'm not going anywhere. And I don't want you to go anywhere either. I want you to live your life like I live life. And some people are going to keep moving forward with some of those people and kind of putting an end to their dreams because they're not willing to detach from those people. If that's a friend group, again, or a family group, or romantic interest. But some people, the Nine of Wands can be about feeling wounded and feeling kind of rejected or left out in the cold, or that it's not very abundant. But high vibe energy is about learning, and high vibe Pisces is about giving yourself that cup of love to work through the emotional confusion of it, and also High Vibe Virgo is about seeing the truth. The Five of Pentacles moves away from the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles can be this foundation that we wanted to hold on to, and we wanted them to move forward with us, be on the same page as us, to bring this dream into reality. And while some people are kind of like, I'm ready to move on and put an end to this, can we all kind of do some work to see what manipulates us and our pride or our ego, or how we're maybe fearful or insecure, or kind of use our emotions manipulatively, or we're kind of defensive? Can we all do that? And high vibe people are able to give themselves that cup of love. I don't like being manipulated by my own shadow nature. I don't like other people in my life to try to emotionally manipulate me. If people love me, they should be encouraging of me growing to my full potential. High vibe people are operating from a foundation of love. It's not selfish and greedy. I have a dream. We all have a dream. Virgo energy. We all have our own unique talents, skills, and interests. And the things that I find emotionally fulfilling can be different than what other people find emotionally fulfilling. Well, can't I go pursue my dream? No, if you do that, I'm going to turn my back to you. It's like, and that can be people who are trying to use the love that they know you have for them to try to manipulate you. If they're not ready to be more independent and step out of their comfort zone, they're still a little bit more just about themselves. And with some people, we don't expect them to move forward with us in unison. Even our siblings, it's like, yep, you have your life, I have my life, you like what you like what I like, my mom, my dad, my cousins, whatever, we're all living our life. And we can be encouraging and supportive. Sometimes we go hang out with some people doing life differently than us, but our comfort zone might be to hang out with other people, and we're okay with it. The bigger problem comes up when it's like a really close friend or a longtime friend or a romantic interest. But for some people, they do have a foundation that they're a part of, again, a friendship group or maybe an original family group, and they're really defensive of being more independent and living their more authentic life, because they might know that those people, but they might not want to see the truth of it, that those people do try to manipulate and control them. And could be afraid that if I go live my more authentic life and go pursue my dreams, they could feel like those people would be defensive to them. And then some of those people let it manipulate them. And it's like, well, okay, if you're not going to go live your life that way, then I won't live my life that way. And they keep moving forward with them. And when they do that, we have our dualistic nature. We have these different people in our life. Sometimes they let go and close out a chapter with some people in their life who were loving and encouraging and supportive and weren't trying to manipulate them. But because some things in their past maybe still manipulate them, they're willing to let those, they don't align with that aspect within themselves, and then they're more in line with the people in their life who want to keep repeating an old pattern, basically, and not deal with the truth. Kind of defensive to the truth, defensive to change, defensive to maybe not being bossy and controlling, or more about themselves, maybe more inspired by the world and getting in relationships and staying in relationships and all jobs and all these things, more for the ego and the image, because that's shadowy Six of Wands, Leo energy. So we can have that kind of difference going on in our life, or some people could. Some people are already realized that some people were defensive to being more independent, and they realized as long as those things within them, the other people in their life, so long as the things within them, the world, themselves, other people, if you're not ready to be more independent, I can't have my dream come into reality, because those things or those people that you make more important in your life is like a third party in the relationship. And I wanted hope and faith and belief and love to be the third party in our relationship and within each of us. But you still have some things that manipulate you. So I might have to have some good boundaries to you, and I'm going to keep moving forward. Wish you peace, love, and joy, but apparently you want to keep moving forward kind of the same way we've been moving forward, which doesn't mean my dream comes into reality, but that might be your dream, and that's how you want to move forward, and that's not how I want to move forward. So I'm letting go of a dream I had with a job, a friendship, a relationship, because we're just kind of on different pages right now. And I'm going to keep believing in myself, believing in my dreams, wish people peace and love, but what drives and motivates us and our truth right now is different. Now, for other people, there comes this point in time in our life we can get in situations, jobs, friendships, or relationships. Seems like everything can be going fine. But then we get to, the nines can talk about getting to the completion of a cycle. And then the 10 would be completing the cycle. And then we come out with the Ace of Wands, or ready to have this new beginning. Sometimes you can be in relationships and friendships or a workplace for a long time, and you have all these things to navigate. What do you like? What do I like? What motivates you? What motivates me? You know, we have all these things to navigate, and we can have a lot of commonality. And then we kind of get down to that last wand that is kind of, in our philosophy of life, are we more about ourself? Are we more about working cooperatively? Do we have the same dreams? And we have to think about the people that we're moving forward with in our life. And are we on the same page? Are we not on the same page? Do you have the same dream as me? Do I have the same dream as you? Are we both willing to learn lessons in life? Or is someone more about themselves and they want someone to quit kind of loving and believing in themselves and make it more about them? So then it's, you know, it's either that we respect that each other has their own dreams and are their own unique individual, and we're willing to still work together to bring a dream into reality where two high-vibe people, independent, where we overlap, and where we overlap is the common goal that we have, but we respect each other as their own individual. And we can get along with people for a really long time until we get to that core foundational belief system that is kind of a stumbling block, where we kind of realize someone is a little bit more about themselves and kind of thinks it should be more about them, and the scales should kind of be tipped in their favor. And it's more about their wants and their needs and their lust and their greed and their pride and their ego. And that's when we could kind of realize that one person could be more materialistic, a little bit more motivated than the other. One person could be someone who's willing to get out of their ego and compromise and learn lessons, and the other person could be a little defensive to that. Everybody could want to still move forward in the situation to a degree, but if we're in a more mismatched relationship, it really isn't what we really find abundant. It can be abundant in a lot of ways in the world. It could have a lot of stability and security and stuff. But if you're someone who's more defensive, you probably like to be in a relationship with other people who are more defensive. If you're someone who's learned a lot of lessons in life and have good self-discipline to your more immature, shadowy, bossy, or controlling and being manipulated by the world nature, you'd probably like to be in relationships with other people who have those type of good boundaries within themselves. And fire sign energy, what drives and motivates us? Is it more motivated by the world and ego, image, codependence, defensiveness, lack mentality? Do we just want to stay in it because it looks good by worldly standards, but we're both defensive and have a lack mentality and we both haven't learned to love ourselves? But we want our dreams to come into reality. And so instead of becoming more, if people are willing to do this work together and everybody's kind of willing to see the truth about things that manipulate them and see the truth that it can't be more about me, and I have to let go of my more defensive nature. If I want a dream to come into reality from truth and love, I have to work through my defensive nature. I have to work through my lack mentality. And I have to be willing to get out of my ego or thinking it should be more about me. And if everybody's on the same page, they keep moving forward, working to bring a dream into reality. But sometimes some people are like, I'm not willing to do that, or that's not my truth, or the way you want to move forward is different than me. Your idea of the dream life is different than my idea of the dream life. I could find yours kind of has a lot of things of the world, but it doesn't have a lot of love. And I might be more motivated by love, and I might want to be in relationships with people who are more loving. You might want to move forward with people more motivated and inspired by the world. Other people could like to be in a relationship with people they can manipulate. And if other people have good boundaries and love and believe in themselves and require the people they're in a relationship to have good self-discipline and not be bossy and controlling, some people are like, damn, I don't really like this relationship. Because, we all have our idea of how we like to live the dream life, and some people like to be immature and like to be bossy and like to be manipulative and like it to be more about them. And then some of those people are defensive to moving forward with high vibe people because, that's really not my truth. And I would rather go get in a relationship with someone I can emotionally manipulate. So right now, if people are in a mismatched relationship, one person could want to be in relationships with people who they think are more aligned with truth and love. The other people are like, no, that's not really my deal. I think I'll go see if there's someone who's kind of more caught up in the world, who might feel left out in the cold, who might make their life more about me that I can manipulate. You're either motivated to be truthful and just and fair and loving, or you're not, and then you kind of want to try to manipulate people to get them to do what you want. And you're either willing to get out of your ego and grow up and mature yourself and be more independent of your more shadow nature or worldly view of life, or you're not. So some people could be in mismatched relationships. The people that are both kind of more high vibe, they're both defending moving forward, and we can all know people that can kind of tempt us in our more immature nature, because shadowy Sagittarius is our more immature player nature, that we could always be tempted by to be more self-indulgent, right? But if both people have good boundaries, and if both people have kind of worked through that and see the truth, if I act more out of pride or ego or immaturity or bossy or controlling or whatever, it's probably not going to turn out the way I want because I don't have good intentions. If I'm in relationships with people who are authentic and loving and encouraging, I should have good boundaries within myself and detach from things that, and see the truth about how things manipulate me and tempt me, and not be more about myself if the people I am in a relationship with are the people who I think are on the same page as me, and I could have my dream come into reality. We do the same thing in friendships, right? I'm not going to be bitchy, witchy, rude, whatever to my friend because I love my friend and I want to move forward with them in friendship. You know, we have to have good self-discipline when, you know, we could kind of feel that way. Are we willing to speak the truth about if there is something going on that we feel like maybe neglected, or feel like, I don't know, maybe they seem more inspiring or something than we are, or more confident than we are, and we kind of get a little bit in a lack mentality. It's like, well, why don't I work through my ego about it? And if this person is being loving and encouraging to me, why don't I keep moving forward with them, and I'll just work on my own issues so that I can be in that energy too, you know? And the people that are more defensive, have a lack mentality, are more manipulated by the world, their dream is to have a certain status or image in the world, could be what drives them, motivates them, or make their life about indulging in certain things that they think will make them happy. If those people are on the same page, they're going to keep moving forward together. High vibe people that are in high vibe, the people in their life that they think are high vibe are people they're going to keep moving forward with. They're going to have good boundaries and distance themselves from people who they think are more emotionally manipulated or more about themselves. And people that are more defensive, might have a lack mentality, do like being more about themselves. They're distancing themselves and being defensive to loving people in their life because that isn't what they align with within themselves either. No, this is what motivates and inspires me. I am aligned with being more about myself or the world or being defensive, and I don't want to be in relationships with loving people or align with my more loving nature because I'm defensive to love. I could get hurt doing love, and I decided somewhere along the way, boy, it was going to be more about me protecting myself. So I'm going to keep being defensive, and some of the shadowy defensive people could move forward with people that they feel left out in the cold from, that could have these shadowy traits and characteristics, but they'd rather be in a relationship with someone like that because love is like the enemy. I could get hurt doing that, and I don't know, maybe they have a fear of being rejected, just don't trust people, maybe feel like they wouldn't be able to pick themselves back up if it didn't work out, so they'd rather move forward with people with shadowy traits and characteristics than take a risk on love. Or they know they're defensive, they know they could have a lack mentality, they know they do try to maybe control people and live more from their mind than their heart, and they know that eventually, you know, the loving people, that's not their dream, and they would want them to heal and grow and mature and deal with those issues, and they don't want to. You know, you have to be motivated and inspired to even want to put in the work and effort to work through those things that manipulate you. And some people are like, I'm good. You do you. I'm going to keep being defensive. I'm going to just move forward with someone else, right? Now, let's look at these cards that aren't showing themselves. The Justice card and the Knight of Cups, the King of Pentacles, the Empress energy, and then we have this card that kind of flew off the table, which is the Two of Wands. Some people could be dealing with an Aries, but high vibe people we all had a way of viewing life at one point in time, right? We were all kind of more caught up in the world. We've all been more defensive. We've all had lack mentality. We've all probably felt manipulated at times in relationships. We've all dealt with people who we felt were bossy and controlling and defensive and blah, 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 blah. The only difference is that high vibe people realized the truth. That love is the answer. And the Three of Cups, Cancer energy about love and self-love. And the high vibe people offered them self-love, and in their Gemini nature of free will, they chose to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and they put in work and effort in their Virgo energy to put up good boundaries to their own shadow nature. Because your own shadow nature, it's like you have the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, and the seeds of both are planted within you, and you're more immature, selfish, greedy, petty, envious, jealous, blame everyone else for your problems. Like, those seeds are there. And there's a part of you that would kind of like to live your life like that. Blame everyone else. Poor, pitiful me. And your more hopeful, believing nature wants you to love and believe in yourself and realize that if you make your life about those things, you're kind of going to end up feeling defensive and left out in the cold because you didn't align with your loving nature. And you weren't inspired to get out of your defensive nature. So high vibe people learn to stand up to their own shadow nature and wrap their brain around this game of life. That life is about learning lessons, and it's seeing the truth. I have dealt with people in my life who are kind of in their own shadowy energy. They have their own lessons to learn. They view life the way they view life. They live life the way they live life. I come in contact with all these different people to help get clear about what my truth is, and I realized that wasn't my truth. And I had to learn to stand up for myself and my dreams. And I did have to distance myself from some of those people. And they weren't people I wanted to keep moving forward with, because they might want to keep moving forward with that same philosophy of life, and they never kind of learn lessons in life to add those to their foundation. They never get out of their own inner conflict, their ego, or immature, or bossy, or controlling, or whatever nature it is. And I have a dream, so my dream can't come into reality with them. Can I have love for them and wish them the best? Yes. But I could feel like they use the love that I have for them to manipulate me, or what drives and motivates them is more about themselves or the world instead of love. And our philosophy of life, our truth, is different. So I put an end to that old dream, and I'm taking action from the 2 to the 3, taking action to bring my dreams into reality. And though I might go through a period of feeling left out in the cold, I'm willing to do that because I don't want to keep feeling in lack or left out in the cold. I offered people truth and love, and they were defensive to moving forward with me in that energy. And they made the free will choice to keep repeating this pattern, whatever it is. And that's not my truth. So I put an end to that dream, and I'm moving forward, no longer viewing that from the 9 to the 3 as a 6 of Wands victory, because I don't think they're inspired by truth and love. I think they're still more inspired by whatever manipulates them or whatever is important to them. But I don't feel it's truth and love and growing and healing and maturing themselves and being more independent. So shadowy people can make their life all about trying to create an illusion about how wonderful their life is. And they could think that's what other people do, and they could think that's how everybody lives their life. But that's not the truth. They might live their life that way because they're very defensive to being more independent from the world and living their more authentic life. So it's just to create this illusion, conforming to the world, about doing things like other people do it, and not being more bold and brave and being more independent. Look how wonderful my life is. And then they kind of caught up and manipulated by the world instead of living their authentic life. So some people who live their life like that could be watching some high vibe people move forward in life. They could just think you're creating a better illusion than they are. That you're pretending how great your life is too, or whatever. But what they don't realize about you is these cards that weren't showing themselves. That you've gotten balance within yourself. You've done this work within yourself to love yourself and align with your more hopeful, believing nature. You offered love in the Knight of Cups to your more worldly nature. And I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil. You offered love to your worldly nature to free yourself from these things within yourself that used to manipulate you, things in your past, people in your life. And you invested in love. And the Empress energy, the feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. And the Empress energy is Libra, Taurus energy. You offered your own worldly nature to love yourself, to be a good mother, father to yourself. I am going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. I have the free will to belittle and berate myself all day, be defensive, be in lack mentality, or I can choose to grow and heal and mature myself, learn lessons in life, love myself, appreciate what I bring to the table, and I can grow and mature myself to be better than I was at different stages in my life. And I'm no longer so caught up and manipulated by the world like I used to. I'm kind of harnessing my fire sign energy in a more inspired to wrap my brain around this game of life. And realize that life is about learning lessons. And some people in my life, some of them have learned a lot of lessons. Some of those people moved on ahead of me. And they've left me out in the cold, and they moved on with other people because they were more emotionally mature and stable and grounded than I was. And then I'm kind of distancing myself from some people in my life who I might feel are kind of more immature or bossy or controlling or whatever. And I'm going to go find the people who are more on the same page as me. And you are not the same person that you were before. You've detached from an old foundation. You do look at life differently, and the fives in tarot talk about change. You used to view certain things or people in your life as people that you thought, and a way of living life that you thought that was living the dream. You don't view it that way anymore. You have a different dream. And it is about justice and fairness and love, and realizing love is to be just and fair. And that if you're treating people with love and respect and encouragement and being authentic and loving and warm, you deserve to be in relationships with other people who have that same philosophy of life, of what's just and fair, who've learned those same lessons in life, who also are not more about themselves in this old way of viewing life, who've learned to have good boundaries within themselves, who've been enlightened to some of the same truths and lessons that you've learned, and are willing to detach from some old way of viewing life to have a dream come into reality with you. And that's the people that you're going to move forward with, and not the people who you feel could be hiding that they do think it's just and fair in more shadowy Pisces energy to try to get in relationships with people who are more self-disciplined, who are more just and fair and balanced and loving and hopeful and believing, and thinking, well, I think it's just and fair for me to just go get in a relationship with someone like that. And then shadowy Empress energy. Some people think in their Libra Taurus energy, well, I think it's just and fair for that person to indulge me in a relationship. I might be kind of shadowy or defensive or immature or stubborn or bossy or controlling or manipulative or more about myself, but that's how I view life. And this has been my plan. I get to be defensive or immature or whatever, but I go get in relationships with people who are more emotionally mature and loving, and I think that's just and fair. Well, they're kind of creating an illusion that that's the type of person they are. But that's not the truth of who they are. They're trying to emotionally manipulate people and create an illusion. And eventually, during the course of that relationship, eventually the high vibe people are like, wait a minute. You know, you might want to keep moving forward in this relationship because it works for you. That was your idea of the dream relationship, where you didn't have to put an end to it being more about you. But I had a dream of both of us putting an end to it being more about us, individually, like more about ourselves, that we work together cooperatively to bring a dream into reality based on truth and justice and emotional maturity and not trying to emotionally manipulate people and working through our defensiveness and working through our lack mentality and detaching from an old way of life to let love and intuition guide us so that we can give birth to our own thing. And that's another thing that some people in a more worldly, shadowy way of living life, it's like, well, no, because in order to do that, I would have to let love and intuition guide me. And I'm kind of used to using my emotions and my sexuality and my charm and my charisma and my looks and my assets and all those things to manipulate people to keep moving forward with me in a relationship. I wasn't planning to ever stop being more about me or my defensive nature or my immature nature or my more worldly nature. And that's when some people are, and like some people could be doing right now, is putting up boundaries to those people and detaching from them because they realize they're not on the same page. So the people that are in relationships with people who are, they feel are more on the same page as them, high vibe, worldly wise, shadowy, so long as they have people who are on the same page as them, those are the people they're going to keep investing their time, energy, and effort into. And we need to see the truth that some people are defensive to us because our philosophy of life is different. And we would want them to have more boundaries. We would want them to be more independent and less about their defensive nature or materialism or self-indulgence. And that's not their truth. And that's why they're not coming to get in a relationship with you. They're going to keep moving forward with the people who either view life just like they do, or people who they think feel left out in the cold that will never get out of their own lack mentality to believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. And they think, no, I think this person will keep indulging me in my ego in this relationship. And that to them is living the dream life. Because if they don't want to be more authentic and bold and brave or confident, they want to move forward with other people who aren't that way. And other people, if they're a loving person and they view you as a loving person, they need to do this work within themselves to figure out what their truth is. Are the people that they're currently in relationships with and surrounding themselves with, why do they stay in it? Why do the other people stay in it? Why are they hanging out with those people? Why are those people hanging out with them? Is it based on truth and love, or is it more out of defensiveness? I mean, you can be a loving person, but you can still be defensive. You know, say someone, you got out of a friendship, or you made an approach to try to be friends with someone or date someone, and they didn't get in a relationship with you and you felt kind of left out in the cold. Well, are we going to, if that person were to communicate, things have gone on in my life. There's people that I'm distancing myself from. I was kind of thinking, maybe we're kind of more on the same page now. Are we willing to be open to that, or just because of our defensiveness, no, I'm going to keep moving forward with these people? And I think if we move forward in that way, more out of defensiveness or pride or ego or whatever, it probably won't turn out the way we want. We just need to listen to our intuition about anyone who approaches us from our past, people in our present, people in our future. Have good boundaries, work together with people cooperatively in truth, to get to know what kind of drives and motivates people, and why they want to move forward with you, why they want you to move forward with them. Is it more about indulgence, ego, image, appealing to your lust and your greed and your pride and your competitive nature? Or do they seem to be authentic and truthful? And then people have to decide, are you more on the same page as them or other people that are in their life? So what is coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy that they might not see coming up? Some people could still just be working through getting over a situation in their past. And it takes time, but they keep doing this work within themselves to keep dealing with the truth of it, to being inspired by their dreams. And as time goes by, they will, you keep taking like slow, steady steps forward. You will be able to detach from that old foundation. The Five of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. Why? Because of the Devil. The Devil card looks just like the Lover's card, except that in the Devil card, the people have chains around their necks. We can have people in our life who we love, but again, they could have some of these shadowy traits and characteristics. And it's like, I would like to move forward with you in the Five of Pentacles, in the Six of Cups, which can talk about a deep, meaningful relationship or just a more emotionally balanced relationship. But I can't do that if I'm operating from truth and love and someone else is being manipulative, controlling, bossy, defensive, hasn't worked through their issues, defensive to change. And I find that way being around them, I could think they're superficial and shallow. I could think they're more prideful or egotistical, controlling or something, And because of dealing with some people in your life that you could feel tried to use the love that you have for them to manipulate you, that was all part of this process for you to learn to stand up for yourself and, defend yourself and defend your dreams. Or maybe before it was kind of more, and we'll put up with it for a long time. We can, but it could have been part of the process to get you to believe in yourself and quit indulging people in their poor behavior and be willing to invest in yourself and love yourself and give yourself the things that you wish other people would give in you. Because otherwise people can, if they think we're not willing to stand up for ourselves and detach from them because we love them and we want this dream to come into reality, sadly, there's some people that will try to use that to manipulate us and control us, and they can act in more prideful or egotistical or stubborn ways because they know you really want that dream to come into reality. And it's like, well, I'm not willing to tolerate crap behavior, you know? I'm going to have good boundaries to you, and I'm going to keep my distance from you. And if you keep repeating that pattern, and that's the free will choice you make, well, then I guess this dream is over, because my dream can't come into reality with you anyway, being in that energy. And if that was a significant life lesson you had, and part of your philosophy of life could have been that, you know, maybe it's always hoping in the Five of Pentacles that other people will change. If people were motivated and inspired to be more just and fair and emotionally mature and loving, they would be. And when they're not, I mean, it's one thing to extend people some grace having a bad day. It's another thing to perpetually be indulging people in poor behavior. And that could have been something that was hard for you to do, because you could be a very loving person and it could be hard for you to give up on people. But if you kept indulging people in poor behavior, it kept you kind of in toxic relationships, and high vibe energy doesn't want you in toxic relationships. If you're being just and fair and loving and treating other people the way you like to be treated, and they're not treating you that way in return, that's an injustice. So this whole experience of dealing with some immature or toxic people helped you see a truth that you weren't seeing. And there could have been other people that were kind of like a third party. You know, it's kind of like high vibe energy wants you to see the truth, because your truth could only come into reality. You have to see who you're dealing with. And sometimes some third party people, friends, family members, other people, are the people who come into your life, and it can seem like, why did that happen? It was trying to get you to see the truth. Someone that you could have been in a friendship or relationship with really didn't have your best interest and really wasn't driven and motivated by the same things you were. And if they were tempted by some things, it helped you detach from a foundation of someone you could have been working with, but you were repeating an old pattern of the past. And you needed to get out of that, repeating that pattern. And if you weren't seeing the truth, that's kind of when the devil can come in to tempt the people you're in a relationship with to get, or a friendship with even, to make you see that you weren't on the same page. And then all of that helped you learn to love and believe in yourself and accept the truth that just to be able to make peace with the past is how I view the Six of Cups. I can accept that people get caught up in things. I can accept that people have some lessons to learn. And I can be at peace within that. That's like the Libra energy. I can be at peace with that. Initially, could have made me really mad. Could have had me defensive, had me in my ego, had me in my competitive nature. And sometimes that's what some people wanted. Some people wanted you defensive and to feel left out in the cold. Either because they wanted to manipulate someone you were in a relationship with, and they wanted you left out in the cold. And it's like, if someone I was like in a romantic relationship with wasn't willing to move forward with me, thank you for showing me that truth, and I have the devil to thank. And even if it was friends and family members of theirs, thank you for showing me a truth I wasn't seeing. I didn't realize this person was more codependent. And if they're not willing to be more independent and they're more tempted to be manipulated by a friend group or a family group than bringing a dream into reality with me, then they're not the person I was meant to be with anyway. And it helped me see that I was kind of repeating a pattern of the past, or someone else was, but I didn't want to see it, that their truth wasn't my truth. And it was kind of more of a mismatched relationship. And now the devil can mean jobs and works and facing your fears and people you're attracted to, and having gone through this whole process and learning those lessons was all to get you back on the right track, and you might be moving forward with people who you think are more on the same page as you, or getting a new job, or putting more work and effort into your stability and security than where before you maybe could have been more caught up in wanting to be in a love relationship. And it's like, those ones didn't work out. Maybe I need to work on myself and my dreams and working with people who are kind of more not repeating that old pattern of relationships that I feel are kind of toxic. And maybe if I go focus on these other things, I will meet other people that are more on the same page as me. What's coming up? But there could be people from your past that you would have liked to have been in a relationship, but they're still got some lessons to learn. So we keep moving forward, believing in ourselves, believing in the divine, that the divine has a plan for our life. And we keep working with the people in our life who are working together with us. And we wish other people peace, and we keep moving on. What's coming up? But there might be some people that see you, high vibe Aries, that you're harnessing is being kind of a leader in the world and being bold and brave and confident. And there could be other people that have had some fears of becoming more independent themselves. But because they're attracted to you and they think you're someone who's on the same page as them and they want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships, they're doing this work within themselves to free themselves to be in that type of relationship with you. And it could be someone you meet as you move forward. What's coming up for people who harness a more shadowy, worldly Pisces energy that they don't see coming? The Three of Pentacles and the Star card. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. Well, if they're more inspired, I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy, just like between the 9 and the 3 is the 6 of Wands. What kind of Leo energy we harness, what drives and motivates us. Because some of the more worldly, shadowy people do operate more from their ego, worldly nature, and they're more caught up in either being about themselves or having a certain status or image in the world. What they don't see coming, or they're more about themselves, is if they have people in their life who harness high vibe Leo energy that have been wanting to work with them to bring a dream into reality based on love, eventually those people are going to see the truth if they're not seeing the truth already. And they're going to detach from these people because they're seeing the truth that one person might want to keep staying in the relationship, but it's more for the ego or the image or the money or the status, or if somebody's been indulging them in their ego or their immature nature, they want that person to keep doing that. And the high vibe people are like, that's not love. And that might be your idea of the dream life, but that's not my idea of the dream life. And some of those people have been doing this work within themselves behind the scenes, and they're standing up for themselves. And they're going to detach from them and move on. Not view this as a victory anymore. And the people in their life, for the more worldly, shadowy people, the people in their life who are more motivated by those same things, well, those people will be willing to keep working with them because it's good for their ego and image. That's how they like to live their life. But if it's a romantic relationship, it could be that the people who are willing to stay in a relationship with them are more motivated by their ego and image too, or their defensiveness, or their lack mentality. I don't want to become more independent. I don't want to face my fears and do that work to reconcile myself with the past and things that manipulate me. I'm still defensive. I'll stay in a relationship with you, but I too am defensive. I too am more about the world or have lack mentality. I too use my emotions and my sexuality and my assets and my looks and my resources to manipulate people, maybe to get what I want. And we could have people that are in a relationship more out of ego, all those things I mentioned, or because of money and materialism or status or image. And it's not love. And the other people are in relationships with people who they are attracted to, and it challenges them to face their fears, because the devil is all about our fears of love and being hurt and believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams. And other people are moving forward in deep, meaningful relationships in the face of that fear, because they believe in themselves and they believe in their dreams, that they're willing to face those fears because they are attracted to each other and they want to be in those relationships. But it's about the truth and love, and not more out of ego or codependency or something like that. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy. Oh, and also shadowy people, if I didn't mention it, shadowy people are going to want, there's going to be, because you have free will and you have to make choices in life, there's also going to be, well, the devil's going to feel left out in the cold because you did detach from them and reconciled yourself with the past, and now you're moving forward, facing your fears, and moving forward with other people that you're attracted to. And the devil could be in their ego about that because they thought for sure they could manipulate you, or that you wouldn't love and believe in yourself, or you'd be tempted by these things of the world that they had, or whatever, to keep wanting to be in a relationship with them. And you're like, no, I'm not willing to stay in a toxic relationship, and I'm willing to detach from you and face my fears, face the devil I don't know, then keep staying with the devil I do know. And anytime we step out of our comfort zone and we go get new jobs, new friendships, new romantic relationships, it's scary. But you've learned all these lessons about listening to your intuition and standing up for yourself, and to realize that if you get more tempted in your more worldly nature, it's going to end up the same way. So you're having good boundaries to that and maintaining balance within yourself and the Six of Cups and the Libra energy to know your worth and value, and maybe get to know people before you get in a more involved relationship with them. You know, instead of taking action more out of lust or greed or pride or ego. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.